Make sure you pray and have a notebook available for your actual class, and make sure you have this math and symbols chart that is in the actual classroom. We're going to be talking about Unit 1, Lesson 4, words in math. Okay, so we're going to be talking about what different words mean and how to write them. Our guide moment is, this is how you are to build it. The arc is to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high, Genesis 6:15. Imagine getting a description from God and not really being told exactly what it looks like. Not given blueprints, not doing any of that. He's giving a word problem to Moses, or to, let's try that again. He's giving a word problem to Noah, and he has to actually do it. And this is the ultimate, the whole Bible is the ultimate word problem. And he constantly is giving us what we need to know through his word, but it is a big word problem. We're going to be learning today, be able to define expression, terms, and coefficients. So we're going to be talking about some vocabulary words, and then we're also going to be doing some real-world interpretations of word problems, and we're going to also be talking about percents in words. So we'll talk about those. So let's think about this. Think about some charts and some other stuff like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. What different words you want. I'm going to cut this part because I don't want it. All right, so here is the operations: plus, minus, division, multiplication, and then also parentheses, because when we put parentheses in a problem, we need to figure out how to word it. So you'll notice that we have this is just a couple of examples. There's so many of them to choose from, but here's a couple of them, like more than, plus, and. Now more than is a transfer word, so we would 7 more than a number means it's 7 plus x. So we call it a turnaround word. So that means that the first statement that I make, or the first number I say, is actually going to be the last number that I'm going to write. So than is a turnaround more than type thing, or less than. Those are all from, like if I take 6 from a number, I'm going to actually turn it around and it's actually going to be at the end. Less than is, as I said, 2 less than y is actually y minus 2, because it's, again, turn around. We're going to actually take this and flip it down. And let's take a look at what that looks like. That is actually going to go over here. That's what this then means, okay? So it would be y minus 2. Subtract from, again, from is a turnaround word, so it's going to take this right here and it's going to put it here, so it would be 6 minus x. And then just 4 less y. So, and we're going to talk about the different ways of how to say this. Divide by, quotient, those are your division ones. I want to make sure you know. Product, times, twice, double, those are all multiplication ones. And you, again, you have a list that you should have printed off, hopefully. If not, pause the video and go print it off, and that way you have it in front of you when we're talking about it. And then the quantity of is literally just parentheses. So we would write this as 3 quantity of, or 3 times the quantity of 3 plus d, because and is plus in this case. Alrighty, so let's take a look at some other stuff. So why don't you try it? I want you to pause the video, see if you can look at the words and see if you can get it. So we have like a number divided by 7. So you notice a number is in my numerator, and divided by is 7, so it would be in my denominator. So it's n divided by 7. You can put any letter you want to, so don't, play around with it. Pause the video, see if you can answer these. Here's my answers. I have like, so for this one, I have 4 plus a number. Should be pretty simple. 4 plus x. The product of 3 and a number plus 7, you would have 3 times x plus 7. 3 less than a number is, remember, than actually is what we call a turnaround word. So be careful. That actually goes over here. So it would be through x minus 3, not 3 minus x. If you wrote that wrong, make sure you kind of try and memorize it, put it on flashcards or whatever you need to do. The quantity of 9 minus h divided by 4. So the quantity, remember I said, was parentheses. So we know that something's going to come up with parentheses. And then afterwards, whatever is going to happen is going to be done to the entire parentheses. So we would have n, or 9 minus h, because that's what it says, in parentheses, divided by 4. Okay, so here's a matching game. This is a little fun game that I found and I thought it would be fun for you. And you're gonna put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on a piece of paper, and then you're gonna either pick A, B, C, D, E, or F, or G, or H. Now, I would suggest doing some of the easier ones or the ones you are sure of, and that way you eliminate some and you have less to choose from. This will help you kind of be able to pick them out. I would hope you would know a number cubed plus 6 or maybe 9 less than a number. Remember, that's a turnaround. Or 2 more than a number. So hopefully you can get those. Those are kind of simple. The other ones are a little bit harder, so make sure you kind of, as I said, take your time, pause the video, and see if you can get these. All right, here is your answers. The first one I have is, you notice the difference, a number and 5, and it should have the difference of a number and 5 divided by 4. And then 2, I have E, which is n minus 9, which is basically, remember, that's a turnaround word, so that's the reason why it's like that. Number 3, I have 2 more than a number, so it should be x plus 2. Or 2 plus n, so that's fine. Remember, plus isn't as important as minus. Okay, I can put 2 plus n, or I can put n plus 2, and that's the same thing. But when I put 2 minus n, or n minus 2, big difference. Sometimes I might get a negative number, so we wouldn't want that for right now anyway. Enough. All right, so for 4, we have A, we have 3 times the difference of a number and 2. So keep in mind, once we put an and together, that means it's both of them. So that's why this is in parentheses. And C, I have 6 times a number plus 2. So 6 times a number plus 2, that's kind of simple. And then twice the sum of a number and 2. Again, we're looking at a parentheses because of that and, okay? And then 4 minus a number multiplied by 2. Hopefully you got that one, because I think it was the only one with 4 in it, or at least, you know, there's only 2 4s, so one was divided, one was or subtracted. So hopefully you got that one. And then a number cubed plus 6. So that was literally just F, okay? So hopefully you got those, and practice more if you need to. So we're going to talk about percents now. Percents are really important. And although the Bible mentions tithe of 10%, did you know the Israelites actually tithe 28% of their income? And that was from a message in 2018. So we're going to talk about changing percents. Hopefully this is a review. When you go from a percent to a fraction, all you're doing is putting it over 100. Okay, and then when you go to a decimal, you're moving the decimal over 2 places. Okay, so I want to show you the difference between 20% and 2%. So here's 2%, still 2 over 100. Okay, not 20 over 100. But here's where the difference is. I'm going to move the decimal over 2 places. So I'm going to go 1, 2. You notice I need a place setting. So it's actually 0.02. So make sure when you have either a like 9% or 10 or 2% or any of those in the lower numbers like 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, any of those percents, you have an extra 0 in front. If not, it's 10% or 20 or 30 or 40. So it's a big difference. All right, so let's take a look. We talked about words, okay, in math, and one of the words on your sheet is the word of, okay, and that means multiplication. Okay, so it says means multiply. So we would first need to take this 85% and turn it to a decimal. All right, so we want to take our little decimal here, we want to move it over 2 spots, and we end up with 0.85. And we're going to multiply that by 200. Okay, so I want you to pause the video at this point. I want you to look at the answers and see if you can answer all of them. And a good way of doing this, by the way, just so you know, is I would go like 200. I would multiply that by 85, just like you would normally, okay? So you would get 0, 0, and then you'd have this right here, and then you'd have 0, 0, and then you'd have 1, 6. So my answer would be 0, 0, 0, 7, 1. But I have 2 decimals that I started with. Remember, this was 0.85, not 85. So I need to put those two decimals back into my equation. Think you can count. There's only two decimals. If there was a decimal here, there would be 3 decimals. If there was another decimal, there would be 4, etc. So we would make sure we would put them all back. So my answer for this one would be 170. That might help you a little bit when you're doing decimals. So see if you can pause the video. What I want to do first is I want you to first go through all of these and make sure you have the right decimal for the first one. So I want you to pause the video, go through all 1, 2, 3, 4 of these and make sure you have the right decimal, because if you don't have the right decimal, you're going to get the wrong answer anyway. So we might as well see if we can get that part over first. All right, so go through, pause the video, and see if you can answer that part first. All right, well, hopefully you have this. I had 0.5, because remember, I'm just moving over twice. I have 0.15, because I'm still moving over twice. Oh, this one's usually tricky. That's why I wanted to make sure you do it. You do have an extra 0. Remember I said if it's 1 through 9%, you want to make sure you move it over twice. Don't just move it over once, otherwise it's 40%, and that's the big difference between 4. And then this one is a little bit different too, because we're going to move it over twice. We're going to get 1.05. So it's 100% plus 5%. So, and then we're going to multiply it by 60. So go ahead and pause the video, see if you can get this, write it down. Remember, you don't have to necessarily just do 34 times 5 and then put 1 decimal back. You put 90 times 15, then put 2 decimals back. Put 350 times 0.04, or 4, sorry, not 0.04, 4, and then just put 2 decimals back. And then the same here with 60 times 105, and then just put 2 decimals back. All right, so pause the video and see how well you do. All right, here's the answers. I gave you this one. We have 17 on this one, 13.5, 14, and 63. You notice that this particular one is bigger than what we started with. Well, it's because we have 100% plus 5%. It's like saying, oh, I got a 5% raise. Would I be, if I got $60 for, say, a day, and I got a 5% raise, would that mean I get less than $60? You're getting cheated if you are. So don't fall for that one. Alrighty, here is some word problems in percents. Okay, so we want to make sure you understand how this works. So we're going to do the very first one. We maybe do a couple of them. So if I have a discount of 35%, so I have, say I pay, you know, whatever I pay for this price, okay, and I'm getting a 35% discount, which is basically 0.35p. I want to know, how much am I actually paying for this? I mean, I'm getting 35% off, but what am I actually paying for this? You're actually paying, because it's 1 minus 0.35, you're actually paying 65%, okay? So we would write this as 0.65p. So that way we would know that that's our price. So when I get a raise, okay, I get 1p. Plus, and then I would just basically, because a raise means I'm adding, not subtracting. That would be bad. And I'm going to put my 0.04 here, because remember, that's 0.04, not 0.4. And I'm going to put a p. And I'm going to add these two. So 1 plus 0.04 is 1.04. And it's p. So I want to see how well you do. I want you to look at the last 3, see if you can figure out if it's adding or subtracting, and then make sure you're doing it by 1. Because remember, it's kind of like saying, well, 100% minus 35% is 65%, okay? And that's where that number is coming from. So you don't, you know, so you kind of understand it. You should know that this is what I'm looking for, because I want to know how much I'm paying, not how much I'm saving. All right, good luck, and pause the video. Oops, I didn't realize there was no answers there. All right, so let's see, pause the video. All right, an increase of a price would be 1.12p. Okay, so we're going to put the p with it because we want to make sure you realize you're multiplying it by the price. A decrease is just like the first one. A discount is the same as a decrease, so it would be 0.65p. And then a 5% sales tax on an item, you will add 5%. They don't say, hey, listen, you paid $1 for that, so I'm only going to charge you 95 cents. That doesn't make sense. Not if the government wants their share, so it has to be 0.05p. So 1.05p, because we have 1, and then we have 0.05. All right, hopefully you got those. So we're going to go into this next slide, and we're going to see how well you do. Now, this is a matching game. I want to see how well you do, and I'm going to kind of look at the first one. We have p minus 15% p. So we're getting some sort of a discount of 15%. So it looks like it's number 4. Okay, so I would draw a line here, or I would write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on your page, and then write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, depending on what it is. So I would write, for 4, I would write 1, because it basically is p minus 0.15p, which actually is 0.85p. So I'm giving you the setup that you would do, and then also the answer. And I want to see how well you do with this. So pause the video and see how you do. All right, here is your answers. You kind of see this. Number 1 is 4. Number 2, it looks like, is 6. Number 3 is 5. Number 4 we already had. Number 2 is 5. And number 6 is 3. So that's kind of the thing. I should probably make those A, B, and C, and it would make it less confusing, but oh well. All righty. Hopefully you got that. If you didn't, kind of practice a little bit more with it. Make sure you get that. Alrighty, so here's another whole set. So I'm sorry, these are the answers as well. They're just with it in a different way. So another for if you got it, that was the case. Hopefully you got those. Let's try something else. This is a little more practice for you. I want to see how well you do. Get as many as you can on this. So number your paper 1 through 16. Look through all of these. See if you can get any of them. And pause the video, and then I'll give you the answers. And there they are. So you want to take x more than a number, so it's 12 more than a number. Remember, that's a turnaround word. That's why I wrote it that way. 1/3 of a number. By the way, that's a number symbol. I apologize. I ran out of room, or I forgot to type it, so I had to put it in there. B multiplied by 5, 64 plus k, p cubed, 6 less than 7, or k, or 4 less than k. Sorry, I can't read today. So that was why it's a turnaround word. Be careful. This is another turnaround word. 17 times s, y to the 4th power. Hopefully you know that. U tripled. Remember, I said doubled was 2 times the number. Tripled would be 3 times. 18 minus x is just straightforward. Z might increase by 12, straightforward. What is the product of these two numbers? We would just multiply them. Product, remember, means multiplication. The difference is literally subtraction. Quotient is division, and sum is addition. Hopefully you got those. All right, so let's try these real quick. I want to see how well you do. So do me a favor, go in there, pause the video, and let's take a, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to do these. So we're going to take this off the page. Never mind. Okay, hopefully you got all that. And here is your exit ticket. It says, which expression would not use to find the price for P of an item that is 20% off? So look through these, see if you can figure out, well, what is 20% off? What is I paying? And see if you can figure out which one is not the case. The answer is this one. This is actually 120% not off. You're paying 20% more, not less. Okay, your homework. Let's change that. I'm going to go backwards. All right, your homework is lesson 4. Sorry, that's supposed to be lesson 4 of Unit 1. Unit 1, lesson 4. Have a good day.